Okay, what's going on? So, just saw Split at the movie theaters. It's you know, it's been a while since Shyamalan has put out a movie worth considering seeing in the movie theaters. I've seen a few of his last ones. But I didn't actually go to the theaters to see them because they didn't even look good in the previews. I don't think. I don't think many other people thought so either. I mean, I have heard The Visit is pretty good actually, so I might check that out. And that did look a little more interesting than something like After Earth or whatever the heck else. But this is the first in a while where I was genuinely interested in it because of the previews. Because it just previews are a pretty powerful thing. I mean, the critical reviews help too, but I don't know. I find it's really hard to find a critic you can trust nowadays, or even like a group of critics you can trust, or anything like that. Um, some movies get all this praise, and they're kind of not very good, and then some movies get slammed and they're fine. You know, um, the way the critics see things, it makes it seem like there's this you know uncrossable gulf between certain movies, and I just don't see it. And I don't just mean the difference between like an art house film and a blockbuster film. I mean, like, you could take two blockbuster films and compare their scores with critics, and it doesn't make any sense to you. But that's. I mean, I feel like that's inevitably gonna be the way it is. But to kind of a really strange degree, like like I say inevitable because everyone has different views and all that, and but the thing with the big critics nowadays is I feel like there's a little bit too much of agreement between them, and that's why you end up with people like to look at the tomato meter, and some people just say, oh well, I just don't, let's just ignore the tomato meter, but it does matter. And you know it does have an influence on people, and the thing is like it's just so weird how many critics will agree on a movie one way or the other. Um, I prefer people on YouTube. They tend to give very more varied viewpoints, and it's not just like a score either. It's I feel like they give better reasons for why they feel how they feel about the movie. When I read the average critic review on the Tomato Meter, I have no idea what they're talking about. And and then I go see the movie, and I know even less what they're talking about. It doesn't make that much sense to me. So, but I did go see Split, partially because there was just this danger of someone spoiling it for me, um, which I did not. You know, it's a Shyamalan movie, so there's usually a twist. I mean, he's had movies where there wasn't really much of one at the end of The Happening. Um, and I'm sure there are others where there wasn't much of one. I don't think After Earth had much of one. That was an awful movie, though. Um, so I can't remember for sure. It might have had something, but to my recollection, it did not have one. Um, but so I went to see this, and um, I was really into it. It starts off really well. is the thing. Like right off the bat, you're interested in what's going on. The one of the opening scene is well done. Um, it showcases his skills. Um, the way he directs your attention to things to set up suspense and stuff like that. It's very good. And the movie builds from there, and a lot of it admittedly hinges on McAvoy's performance, which is fantastic. And it's very different for Shyamalan. When I think of Shyamalan's best films, people tend to be kind of quiet and reserved. That's kind of the natural performance in those. And in this one, McAvoy is just all over the place. He's playing multiple personalities, and he is just such an out there character. It is very atypical for one of Shyamalan's good movies for a character to be this way, but it works so well. Um, I would say they talk about how in the previews how there's like 23 personalities. I would say, you know, without being too spoilery, there's not that many you actually see in the film, which is actually part of the plot. That there's certain ones being subdued for one reason or another. Um, so you're really focusing on seeing certain personalities during it, and those they do a really good job with those ones. Like those some of those personalities feel like characters of their own. Like those are some of the main characters of the film are the different people um, McAvoy portrays, and he sells it. You believe they're different characters, these different personalities, and that's what really carries the film because a lot of the film there's not a lot more to it than the interactions between him, these girls, and I want to say the woman is a therapist, but I'm not sure. She's something. I think a therapist because she takes care of him, but she's something more than that too because she has these theories about people with multiple personalities, and she speaks to people about it on this thing like she's there's some interesting stuff in the movie. Like there's more to the movie than just split personality guy abducts girls. I'll tell you that. If that's all you were looking for, then maybe you won't like some of the stuff they decided to do. Maybe it'll be a bit much for you. But for me, it was very cool. Um, it um, what else can I talk about without see it's tough to talk about too much about this movie without getting into the spoilers. So what I'm going to say is like from this point forward, I'm going to try not to say any spoilers directly, but I'm going to get into language that kind of the way I'm going to cut around them. The way I'm going to be a little vague, but it might be too much for some people. So you might want to stop listening at this point. But if you're all right with me talking a little bit about the nature of certain things without telling you exactly what happens, um, you can listen to the rest. So, for instance, one thing I'll say straight out is this movie does not have a. I would not say it has the kind of twist that a Sixth Sense does, where a character turns out to be dead the whole time, or Unbreakable, where you know, somewhat well. Maybe I shouldn't say what Unbreakable's twist was because I feel like that film's really underseen, and a lot of people might not know. But that film also had kind of a twist that was kind of change your perspective on something. To be fair, this film does have a few twists. It has natural twists a story would have that where it reveals more things. It does have twists, and it has a kind of final parting twist. And the final one is probably the one that most people are going to consider a big twist. Now, but there could be, you could easily debate it's not really a twist. It's kind of weird. I mean, it's clearly a new development, and it clearly like reveals something. You're like, oh, I didn't realize this, and oh, that's interesting. But I'm trying to think of a way to put it. It's not quite like his other movies where you're I guess it's similar to Signs. Not, I mean, not really similar to Signs, but Signs also, like, Signs tried to kind of have this feeling like you saw a twist in the movie, but to me it was like, was that a twist? I don't know if that was a twist. Like, that was, I mean, it kind of was. It's hard to answer. It was definitely something you didn't see coming, but it was also something that it's not like you could have predicted it either. Like I don't think that there's many. I don't think there's any clues or anything like that. Um, it's just something kind of completely out of left field. Like, and to me, that's the difference between a Sixth Sense twist and something like this. Like Sixth Sense, when you watch Sixth Sense again, you're gonna sit there and say to yourself, "Oh, look at that," and "Oh, look at this. These people aren't reacting to him." You'll see clues to something to the fact that he's dead the whole time, to this big twist. Whereas in this movie, there's no clues to what they reveal at the end. There's just something they dump on you at the end that's interesting, and you're certainly kind of like, ooh, wow, but it's not really it's really hard to explain. I guess you just have to see the movie. There's another twist, and the other twist is it's harder to describe without you having seen it, and it kind of has to do with the thematics of the film, and it has to do with the main girl, and you'll have to see the movie to see it. It's again not really your usual Shyamalan type thing, and it even takes a bit to settle in. It did for me to realize what was being said with it. You know, there was an interesting thing being said there. But all that said, there's a reason this movie's doing as well as it's doing. It's very well done suspense. He has this way of making things feel grounded in reality, so you find things believable that you might not find believable in another film, and it's really good. It really works. I don't, I'm I haven't thought up any kind of rating system yet. I'm thinking, all right, so if I'm gonna give it some kind of rating, I think I could give it like I'm gonna give it like a 3.5 out of 5. That's what I'll go with. Um, because for me, it was very enjoyable. Um, that McAvoy was a great performance. The main girl is fine. I don't feel like she got a lot to do, but what she did do was fine. McAvoy was kind of everything there for the performance. You know, the the work at Shyamalan did as a director is very good in the film. There's very good music. It's a fairly interesting story, but it is kind of minimal, and that's the thing with a lot of the film. It's not a big movie; it's a small movie, um, and that's the only reason I take it down a little. Is like there's only so much that happens in the film, and it's a very good small movie. It's a very good thriller for you to see. But I don't know. Not to say that like big movies are the only good movies, but there's something about the scope of it that hinders it for me. It's hard to put my finger on how to explain it. That I'm not gonna give it like five out of 5. Like it's not like this amazing classic. I mean, it might be for you. Maybe it'll be your favorite movie ever, but for me, it was fine. I wouldn't really say there was much wrong with it at all. I was really happy with it, but it just feels like it feels like he could do a lot more with a movie, in my opinion. Like he could do something much grander than this, and hopefully he will. Hopefully this is him getting back on track, and hopefully this is just a small sign of things to come. All right, so that's my view on it. Hopefully, um, my take on it makes a little more sense than other people's you've heard from. If it doesn't, just let me know. If you disagree, let me know. It's fine. Uh, I'll talk to you guys later.